we're trying this again. If you find your way back into chat and you're saying to yourself, huh, what went wrong? What happened? Um, yeah, so we allowed an individual who is a wonderful individual who wonderful who has been part of the extended family for years, and to utilize a studio, and maybe it is pure coincidence, maybe not. The internet went to dog shit, and the Yeti mic doesn't work right now, and so hopefully we have this microphone dialed in, the one I have pinned on me, so to speak. Hopefully this one's carrying all the weight. So I appreciate the fact that the feedback, Red Rebel, that is working much better. I'm going to be going into Binance. Let's talk about what happened yesterday, how it affected people, and what this means for the industry. So first off, as of right now, $570 million worth, apparently up to like 2 million BNB were jacked. We're hearing different reports that they recovered some, they recovered most, they recovered none. I don't know what the truth is. It's hard sifting through to find truth when you know that the Binance team, their CEO went on NBC and is doing what we like to classify as damage control. So when someone's doing damage control and they're speaking and only telling you what they want you to hear, or saying misleading statements. I listened to the interview. There's a couple things I'm like, oh, that was a clever way to say that, to say truth that alludes to a false perception of the truth for the public that's listening. And including saying, oh no, the blockchain's secure, the blockchain hasn't been hacked. And it's like, okay, to the layperson, when there's a hack on crypto and there's applications running on your blockchain that get hacked, if smart contracts that reside on the blockchain gets hacked and you have to patch your blockchain as a result, then it looks like there's a vulnerability of your blockchain. Otherwise, why would you need to patch anything? If you don't need to patch anything, then you're fine. But if you're patching things, it suggests that you had a bug in your blockchain with a vulnerability, because that's what you're plugging. But yeah, a little misleading. Anyway, so 570 million worth of Binance tokens stolen. Estimates were off. It's from this. Let's see if I can find my way back to it. Bear with me. Cryptocurrency exchange, blah, blah, blah. Exploit cross-chain bridge, BSC token hub. BSC stands for Binance Smart Chain Token Hub, which is what they call a chain. So, all right, I'm going to break this down really simple, because chains, wrapped tokens, blockchains, bridges, all of that, let's make it digestible, because it's a mouthful. It's a lot of stuff. You're like, what really happened? I need to understand this. Can you break it down simple? All right, here we go. You got to understand a few things. So I'm going to define some things. What is a blockchain? A blockchain is a ledger. It's its whole ecosystem. It's got its native currency, which is BNB or Ethereum or any of those. Those are native assets that are the base currency on this ledger system. And then other people like us can launch our token and say, hey, Binance, can we put our token so that your ledger system tracks our transactions as well? So their ledger is their ledger. They'll allow other people to write transactions on their ledger as well. You pay the price. Any transaction you write, you have to pay them in their native currency, which you have to buy in order to pay them back. So it creates inherent value of their native currency. They make a lot of money. Makes sense? Simple. Each chain is its own ecosystem. So Binance, let's just talk about two. Binance and Ethereum. some of the bigger chains out there. There's Polygon, there's Cardano, Solana, there's a whole bunch of chains. But let's talk about just those two, Binance and Ethereum. Now, if I want to go from one chain to another, I can't really do it. It's not how it works. You don't really go across a chain. That's a myth. So, but there are ways to simulate jumping from one ecosystem to the next. I'm using my hands. Everybody should love this. Apparently, I need to use my hands. So the way that they do that is with what's called a bridge. Now, a bridge sounds like you actually take your thing that's on this ledger and your token magically crosses the bridge over to the other ecosystem, and now it's on its ledger system. That's not quite how it works. In effect, that's what happens, but the way that that's achieved is through something called wrapped tokens. So they can be a wrapped token. All is just another way of saying like a cloned token. It's the same token, but it's not the same. It's a little different. So a wrapped token is a cloned version of a token that can, well, it could run on the same chain. Like there could be a wrapped token. Like we could make wrapped our tokens Anubit. We can take Anubit and we could wrap it with, you know, special features and have it run on the same chain, or we could have a wrapped one on a different chain. So here's the simple thing that happens. Let's cut the bullshit. There's a receiver bucket, right? And we'll call that one end. Picture like a teleporter system, right? You guys picture where you step in the teleporter and you magically teleport someplace else. Well, you don't really teleport. What happens is you give your token, you put it in the bucket. Your token stays in that bucket. It's locked and frozen. It can't be retrieved. It is their part of it. And then on the other end, on the other chain, you have a bucket that says, okay, my job is when someone puts a token in that bucket, what I do is it instructs me I need to make a token, a wrapped version, and spit it out into on that chain. So these get taken out of play. When someone puts something in, it gets taken out of play, and then instead one gets put into play over here. And then if someone was to give it over here, then this one gets spit out into play. So you don't, as far as the circulating active supply, it stays the same. It stays neutral. You're just taking one out of play and putting one in play over here. And one is the original typically, and one is the wrapped version, the cloned version on the other blockchain. So now these have to communicate, right? These are two different blockchains. They're not inherently connected at all. So when one gets received over here, there's a signal that goes across telling this one to release one over there. That's the bridge. So through the internet, through other means that are not on the blockchain, it is communicated to release the token. That's a point of vulnerability right there. The other thing that can be hacked is these both run on something called a smart contract. It's basically it's an application. It's a thing of code that says it's a series of if-then statements. If this happens, do this. And then when someone does this, do this. It's a very complex string of if-then statements. So for every event, it tells the smart contract says, in the event of these events under this criteria, do this. That's all a smart contract is. It's if this happens, then this happens, right? So both of these are smart contract codes waiting for conditions to be met. If this happens, right? So what happened in this instance with Binance is the hackers figured out how to spoof or do false events transactions on the smart contract to simulate someone putting a coin in the bucket. So a coin didn't actually go in the bucket, but the communication happened as if it did, saying, okay, I got a coin, release it over here on this one. And so, but no coin actually went in. So what you end up with is duplicated coin, essentially. The original one doesn't get taken out of play, and the duplicated one gets born into existence. So since you have both the original and the duplicate in play, it's like increasing the supply, and it's making tokens in that shouldn't exist. So because they're able to spoof that false transaction over here of putting the coin in the bucket and out of play and saying create the bridge, they essentially stole money from everybody. So what they don't want to tell you is that you lost if you hold BNB. We lost. We hold BNB. Anyone that holds BNB essentially lost, because it's like inflation, right? When the government prints a bunch of money, right? I'm in the U.S., right? When the U.S. government prints a bunch of money, or the Federal Reserve, whatever, it lessens the value of everybody else's money, because you're making money out of thin air. It's increasing the supply. And so they were able to reclaim some of that, supposedly. I don't know what the truth is. Maybe they're fucking lying. Maybe they couldn't solve it. But they did a bunch of patches. I know that they're able to see what happened, because the blockchain has transparency. So they call it pseudo-anonymity, where it's both anonymous and transparent, which seems counterintuitive. So it's anonymous in the sense that you don't know who is behind all these different transactions, right? That's where the anonymity comes in. But the transparency comes in is the blockchain doesn't lie about what happened. You can track down the events. You can say, oh, this one never got put in the bucket, but it did send the signal to create a wrapped version over on the other end of the chain, right? So you can see what happened transparently to help diagnose things. You can track coin all over the place. You just don't know who's behind it. You don't know. It's just a string of 42 characters that for wallets all over the place, telling you, oh, well, this wallet got this and this wallet got this, and it's stringing all over the place. You don't really know who owns those. So anyway, this you need to understand the now bridges. To give you an idea of how much bridges suck between blockchains, it is, I believe, the single largest vulnerability point in blockchains and multiple ecosystems as they're trying to connect all these different blockchains, Ethereum and Cardano and Solana and Binance and all these bridges suck. They need to address the vulnerabilities. They have enough info to see, okay, hackers are going for bridges. They know that's where their vulnerability is. The bridge smart contracts are obviously not secure enough. And so all of them, hey, guess what? All of them have been audited. How much, now the point of an audit is not to protect you from a rug pull or for this or for that. The only point of an audit, as far as I can tell, is to make sure that they can't be hacked from the outside. It's not to say that the people who created the coin or token or bridge or whatever, those are all smart contracts that just do different things. Our token is a smart contract. The whole point is to audit the smart contract to make sure that it's not hackable from outside intrusion, that all the holes are plugged and there's no vulnerabilities. Whoever built the smart contract and runs the smart contract, they can be a low-life piece of shit. The audit does not do anything to make sure that the people who wrote the bridge don't have ill intentions. But all these bridges, all right, to give you an idea, in 2022 alone, just this year in the last 10 months, $1.4 billion worth of coin has been stolen by hacking bridges. That's huge. $1.4 billion worth in 2022 alone from bridge vulnerability. Now, so the question is, okay, what are they doing to make bridges better? Build bridges back better and great again, right? What are they doing? the token code, the smart contract code, the standard for which things are written is weak as fuck. It's too weak. That's the problem. With loose standards, even if they audit, they're like, oh, it looks good. Well, obviously it's not good enough. They need to do something about it. I love the idea of bridge. I love the technology, the theory behind it. The idea that you put something over here and it clones a version over there, and then it tracks, and then if someone wants to come back, you accept one here and spit one out there. You unlock one over here. So that I love the idea. In practice, when it's not vulnerable, it works great. It's wonderful. It's a little too expensive, but it's fucking cool. It's cool, but they need to tighten it up. 1.4 billion in 2022 is a wake-up call that bridges need to be reassessed. It is a huge sore spot for crypto. It's a weak link. They need to do something about it. Unacceptable. This should never, ever, ever happen. It is completely unacceptable. So it's not good for crypto as a whole. Every time there's hacks and exploits, of course, what does the end user think? Naturally, they think, well, yeah, that's why that's why I don't invest too heavily in crypto. Or people that are on the fence think, well, that's why I'm not in that, because you don't hear of stocks getting hacked, right? You don't hear of that. We love. I'll tell you what. How passionate are we about the technology behind crypto? Incredibly, but crypto's riddled with people who are bad actors, inept. So let's talk about what we've been doing development-wise and how this affects us. It doesn't. It really doesn't. It doesn't affect us directly. A lot of people were emailing us that they couldn't buy, sell, or trade, things like that. And we were having to respond, yeah, the chain kind of went down. So Binance's response was they took the entire chain down. They didn't dismantle it and burn it. They hit a pause button. They said, let's assess the situation. Let's figure out where everything is. Let's put the whole team, everybody. Let's figure out, because some of the coin gets washed. How does that work? Well, let's say I steal 100 coins. I can either keep those coins in my bucket, in which case the coin holder of BNB, maybe they have the tools to just jack that back. Maybe they can be like, nah, because I'll tell you what we do. We put in some special code in our token. Now, with a native coin, they have more control because they control the entire blockchain, the validators. They control everything. With us on our token, we've got some God mode. If someone steals, we can take that back. We'll do the best we can. We'll hit pause. We'll take it back, and we'll try to make everything right as fast as possible. If something happens like that to us, but there are things that they can do. They can say, okay, well, I'm not just going to take that coin. I'm not going to keep it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to swap it for other people's coin. And then you can't take that coin from me because it's not your coin. And then they're left holding that coin over there. If you take it back from them, they had a real loss because I swapped it with them. So if you take it back from them, now I've still got my stuff, right? I've got my value of tokens. It's other people you've stolen from now. Now you're stealing from them because I stole from you, and I'm whole, you're whole, and they're at a loss, right? So by washing the tokens and trading those stolen, ill-gotten gains on the network, other bridges, things like that, if I have time to wash those tokens and swap them with all kinds of other altcoins, then you'd be chasing your tail, and you literally would be ripping off once they percolate throughout the community and are swapped. It's really, you're not even taking it back from the thief. You're stealing from other people. Anyway, point is, if a thief takes and you have the ability to take it back, that's great. But the reason they hit the pause button is to minimize the hacker, the thief. Let's call him a thief. It's a fucking thief, right? It's a digital thief. You're taking, because they didn't just hack to cause mayhem. They hacked to steal goods. That's a fucking thief. So they hit pause, so it minimizes the thief's ability to wash the coins by trading them for other assets and leaving other people with the stolen goods, basically. So they try to minimize that, which was the smart play. That's what we would do. We would absolutely, if we saw that there was a theft and a vulnerability, we're going to do several things in order. We're going to pause it, number one. We're going to take back as much as we can that hasn't been washed and make sure that the thief can't trade or anything like that. We're going to take it back. We're going to blacklist wallets that are associated directly with any thieving, and we're going to find out what the vulnerability was so that it can't be repeated and patch it. And then we're going to unpause and say, hey, here's what happened. Nothing we can do at this point. And then you could also reach out, if you know the wallet, and you could call for other tokens that have the capability of doing what we do to blacklist or pause or things like that. You could call on them to, let's say that there's 100 different tokens in that are stolen tokens. That's the wallet that was the thief, right? You could say all of those 100 tokens. You could reach out to them, I guess, and you could say, hey, can you blacklist that wallet for me, because it's a thief's wallet. So at least those stolen assets are frozen for all time in that stolen wallet. But the crypto community has very weak ways of, it's not developed enough, and it's very weak ways of doing that. And the market, crypto, unlike the stock exchange and things like that, is a 24/7 operation. Stuff can happen at off hours. It's also worldwide. You don't have all these. Well, a blockchain is for the entire world. It's not just like, oh, well, that blockchain's just for the United States or it's just for California. No, it's accessible by anybody in the world. Those can be traded. Doesn't care where your country or jurisdiction or anything. So the only filter that we have for crypto is at the buy-in stage, when people buy into a token. But if there's a token that, let's say Russia, right? Let's do Russia right now. Very popular with the U.S. with the whole bullshit going on and proxy wars and everything, right? If I can make it on our token, and it is such that no one can buy from Russia, can buy our token directly. They can't buy it. Can't do it. Nothing they can do. As of right now, though, let's say XYZ token they can buy. Now they have XYZ token, the Russian does. They buy that token, and that they haven't blacklisted. And if that token exists on Binance Smart Chain, then they trade XYZ token for BNB, and then they go to us and trade BNB for the Anubit. Now a Russian effectively has Anubit, and there's nothing we could do to prevent that. Well, there is something we could do, but we don't have to turn on. If we had to, if compliance made us, we could enforce full KYC of all wallets. But there's no need to do that. Anyway, guys, I did want to, and that might be the way things are going with these hacks. The other thing that we know that the SEC, Gary Gensler, the powers that be they look at everything that happens that is bullshit, gives them more teeth to come after crypto. And you better believe when the largest, second largest, we'll call Ethereum the largest, the second largest blockchain in the planet, and the same company who runs the largest exchange on the planet, because Binance is the largest exchange, it's not the largest blockchain. By value traded, it's not the largest blockchain. By tokens on it, it is by far the largest. More tokens like us launch on the Binance Smart Chain because their gas fees are cheap and onboarding to their blockchain is really, really, really simple. But you better believe that the powers that be are paying attention, and they're gonna figure out a way to how are we gonna make this give us more power and control to regulate for consumers' protection. And it does scream out like, hey, Binance, Ethereum, all these places, what are you doing? Because your bridges that you let launch on your network are fucking dog shit, and they keep getting hacked. What are you doing about it? And no one has. It keeps happening. So whatever they are doing, they're either negligent, or which, you know, basically they are doing nothing, or they're inept. So are you lazy or pathetic? Pick one. You can't, you pick one. Maybe you're both, right? But you're at least one, because you haven't solved the problem, right? So anyway, I'm gonna stop ripping on people that aren't here, but I will be back Monday. The team is Omar's. I think they're gonna go to horse racing today, guys. So I don't have anything to launch as far as GAN right now. Is it on? Tess is working. They've. I mean, it's fucking killer. I'm excited. I'm ready. Personal life is kind of interrupting a little bit, but business will be resuming, and it's a bright future ahead of us. People that are doing business like us in crypto are going to do really, 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 really well in the next coming years. And our future over here at Anubit is really, really bright. The coin right now is not looking so bright, but I'm telling you that's temporary, and it's not that I'm doing anything to cause that. I'm not doing anything to prevent it, and we could, and not to hit a pause button, but we could onboard some buyers right now. I'm really loving the people getting out of the coin. I'll tell you again, there's nothing. We're just letting it happen, and it's beautiful. I encourage it, and when the harvest happens, I want to have all the bugs out of the field. So, yeah. Other than that, everything's good on our end. We are. Tanya's got a refresh website coming up. I didn't think I needed it, but she really wanted to do it. I'll tell you what, it's Fortune 500. Bad fucking ass. It looks killer. The ZPS sites have all been polished. Let's go. We're ready to go. Security, so that we don't get hacked, is like, holy shit, do we have it, you know, code obfuscated and everything else. We're set up really strong to be. We're not going to pull a BCS token hub bridge hack. No one's going to pull that shit on us. So we're doing a lot of steps to make sure that we don't have any vulnerability. Because if you can imagine someone spoofing a transaction on the GAN, right? I appreciate Red Rebel. Imagine someone spoofing a transaction on the GAN that didn't actually happen, but it's still triggering the event to distribute the coin to the holder. That would be a huge problem. So a lot of time and effort has been making sure we have really hard checks and balances, because we get a hack. I'm going to tell you right now, we have hack attempts every second of every day on our infrastructure. There is not a second that you don't see a log with multiple hack attempts at different ports and everything else. We review all of that every week. It is grotesque about, you know, them looking for any point of vulnerability. So with our GAN and these systems we put up, you know, like half our effort is not even creation, it's securing. And that's something that we can't, it's not fun and like, oh yeah, but when we don't get hacked and other people do, you appreciate that after the fact. You know, if you get something done in half the time and do the sloppy way and the vulnerable way, you might have things to market faster, it'd be sloppy and fast, and people will be like, oh, this rocks. Well, until fucking it doesn't and the shit hits the fan. So, but security is something we take very serious around here. And, you know, it's something that you have to. Reality is, when we first started about 7 years ago, we tried the other way, just like, hey, we just got to get out to markets quick. And we had some things that, like, oh shit, that went south. We learned some hard lessons early on about where you can skimp and eke by and do the minimal, and where you need to put way more effort than you think. And those were painful, expensive lessons. And they left a really, really lasting mark in us where we'll never neglect that side of things. But anyway, guys, I appreciate have a great weekend. The guy's going to be at the horse races. Theo's actually sick right now. Omar's going to horse races. I think girls are going to horse races. A couple of the developers are heading to the horse races. It's a local thing here where we're at. And I am headed to the Bay Area for some medical stuff. So anyway, we will circle back. I'm planning on working a bunch this weekend, so I'll have some communication. And I'm planning on, obviously next week's going to be a huge week for us, as a lot of these loose ends. We have full transaction history. Now we have full, like the affiliate button, the whole section there is coming along. The wallet connectivity is dialed in. They're just being very cautious as they transition to live, and for good reasons. Because playing around in a test environment and things work good is one thing, but having it work live is a whole other ballgame. So it's a very cautioned approach. They're not rushing it. So anyway, guys, thank you very much.